বাংলাদেশে আশ্রিত রোহিঙ্গা শিশুদের শিক্ষা নিয়ে ভয়াবহ আশঙ্কা প্রকাশ করেছে ইউনিসেফ। দাতা গোষ্ঠীর সহায়তা কমে যাওয়ায় তাদের শিক্ষা কার্যক্রম বাধাগ্রস্ত হচ্ছে বলে জানিয়েছে সংস্থাটি। ইউনিসেফের কক্সবাজার আঞ্চলিক কার্যালয়ে আয়োজিত এক সংবাদ সম্মেলনে ক্যাম্পগুলোর শিশুদের পড়াশোনার বেহাল চিত্র তুলে ধরে ইউনিসেফের বাংলাদেশ প্রতিনিধি রানা ফ্লাওয়ার্স বলেন,
Violence, I do not accept. And when they started attacking fellow Bangladeshi non-government organisations, when they threw a chair across the room into the head of one of our partner NGOs, that crossed a line. When they climbed the wall of an NGO partner's office and frightened and berated the people inside that building, that's not acceptable. These are fellow Bangladeshis who are being attacked, and the threats online from there will be blood on the streets of Teknaf to we will drag staff out of UNICEF cars and beat them. These kinds of calls for violence are criminal. I'm sorry. Not acceptable, and those people should never have access to children, even as volunteers. So I feel they have misled the public, they have been dishonest in their positioning, and I want to put the other side of the story on the table so that you can understand the real situation. 179 volunteers. We understand that around 60% of them were not from Cox's Bazar. They have returned to their districts in other parts of Bangladesh. 25% have said they want to take the skill program. They understand that's a good opportunity. That's 85%. We're now dealing with 15% who are claiming they have some sort of right to a job for life. I'm sorry. That is not the case. For UNICEF alone, we have also had to end the contracts of a large percentage of our staff. Across the UN, we've ended the contracts of our own staff in order to keep our programs in Bangladesh running. It is not the case that any of us have a job for life anymore, and to perpetrate violence to try and make that point is unacceptable. Myanmar curriculum. It is taught in Burmese. So the host community teacher volunteers were only to teach English. They can't teach the rest of the curriculum because they can't speak Burmese. So to be very clear, UNICEF will not be teaching grades K1 and 2 again. After that, it is the Burmese curriculum, and there are some English classes for the older grades, but we will not do K1 and 2 again, simply because at this point there is no funding that would allow us to do that. And that honestly is a terrible decision, because the young children, it's the time when their brains are the richest, developing, etc., and we just do not have the funding to be able to do that. In terms of the numbers that you asked for, the out-of-school children are more than 200,000 in the camps. And in terms of those who are currently in secondary, it's around 22,390 students, so smaller numbers in the secondary. And then grade 5, it's about 40,000, close to 40,000 children.
কক্সবাজারের 34টি শরণার্থী শিবিরে বর্তমানে 18 বছরের নিচে শিশু রয়েছে প্রায় 5,95,354 জন। গত 8 বছরে গড়ে অন্তত 30,000 শিশুর জন্ম হয়েছে। নতুন প্রজন্ম বাড়লেও শিক্ষার ভবিষ্যৎ ক্রমেই অন্ধকারাচ্ছন্ন হয়ে পড়ছে। ইউনিসেফের বাংলাদেশ প্রতিনিধি রানা ফ্লাওয়ার্স আরও বলেন,
For those volunteers whose jobs were finalised, and I do hope and I really encourage those who haven't taken up the skill program to look at that. If the skill they want is not there, talk to us. We're happy to try and adjust. We're happy to introduce other languages, which is what the government has also asked us to do. We've been trying to give them a very good option, and I hope the remaining volunteers will think about accepting that option. So if they want to do the education necessary for them to be accepted as teachers, we're also happy to try and look at a course for them on that. You're absolutely right. There are a number of new births every year. There are efforts to help the families manage and reduce the number of children across families. But I think the bottom line is we will have to find funding to be able to increase the number of classrooms. And you saw the difference in the number of children in secondary compared to primary. Those numbers every year keep coming into the system, and that's the challenge. That's the challenge we face. We have to work on that, and we are working with our donors and with our development partners to try and look at how we have a plan for making sure that we have the resources needed to be able to do that in the future. It's a struggle. It really is. At the moment, UNICEF does not have the funding, and I don't yet see the funding in 2026 for those grades. But other organisations, we're not the only organisation in the camp, other organisations have some funding and may get more funding from their governments, etc. So we're very hopeful that others will be able to take on grades K1 and 2. But to be honest with you, if we look at what is considered to be the teaching priorities for K1 and 2, it will be teaching in their native language. It isn't introducing a second language or third. So normally, in most countries, we do not try and introduce the second language until the children have got a hold of their first language, in this case Burmese, and then we start introducing, and that will be practiced in the camps going forward.
বাংলাদেশ প্রতিনিধি রানা ফ্লাওয়ার্স আরও বলেন, তহবিল সংকটের কারণে 1179 জন হোস্ট কমিউনিটি টিচিং ভলান্টিয়ার চাকরি হারিয়েছেন। রানা ফ্লাওয়ার্স সতর্ক করে বলেন, শিক্ষা কার্যক্রম ব্যাহত হলে পুরো একটি প্রজন্ম অশিক্ষিত হয়ে বেড়ে উঠবে। এর প্রভাব শুধু ক্যাম্প নয়, পুরো অঞ্চলের উপরই পড়বে। সংবাদ সম্মেলনে ইউনিসেফ কক্সবাজার আঞ্চলিক অফিসের প্রধান অ্যাঞ্জেলিনা কার্নেও উপস্থিত ছিলেন। বিডি ওয়ার্ল্ড নিউজ ডেস্ক।